Manchester United 2, Tottenham 2. Both teams come away with their first points in the new calendar year. Welcome to Top of the Perch. I am your host, as always, Nick Burt. A very interesting match for both sides today. Both sides dealing with a lot of absences, either due to injury or due to international duty. The biggest player missing for either side here is the captain for Tottenham, Heung-min's son, obviously off at the Asian Games for South Korea. Now, Son is very obviously a hard player to replace. So this Tottenham side is going to be depleted for the next month, basically. I hope Son wins for South Korea. I want that for him more than anything. But I also want them to go out in the group stage so we get Son back quicker. Because, we're looking at like a month of him being gone if they go far in the Asian Games, which would be absolutely terrible. Tottenham also missing Basuma and Sarr, who are both at the African Cup of Nations, which just got underway. Hopefully for them, they go far for their respective countries, but hopefully they also don't and they are back here quickly. Either way, I hope that they have all the success that they can and everybody comes back 100% healthy. But there are still games to be played, and Tottenham were going to have to figure out a way to play without their captain. That is why in the midweek this week, they went out and signed Timo Werner on loan from RB Leipzig with an option to buy. I believe the price is around 17 or 18 million pounds. If Tottenham exercise that option, obviously we have no idea if they will. Because, we got him for the rest of the year, so might as well see how it plays out and go from there. And, of course, with, the very lack of center back depth, they got Rasmus Dragishin, I believe is the official pronunciation. Dragishin. Two huge signings that we need to bring in quickly. Obviously, Dragishin took a little bit longer than I hoped. I was kind of hoping that would have been done earlier, but given the big news of today was that the whole back line was back together for the first time since October, basically, of Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, and Porro. The back four were back together as Van de Ven and Romero both came back from their injuries today into the starting lineup. It was going to be a test for them. Obviously, this Manchester United team just isn't a pushover. It was going to be, you got to figure it out, basically. Luckily, though, like we said, United dealing with their own injuries. It was going to be a challenge no matter what. And ball kicks off. Tottenham start a little bit good. Turnover. Man United on the ball. Going down. Rasmus Højlund puts the ball in the back of the net. It's 1-0 after 3 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh. You've got to be kidding me. What are we doing? We have a half-healthy squad. And it's now 1-0 to United. I was just, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Tottenham, though, kept their foot on the gas. They dominated the first half, if we're truly being honest. Tottenham dominated the first half, possession-wise, passing-wise, all the metrics. It ended up working out for them. It was off of a corner, a beautiful cross-in by Porro. Ends up in the back of the net with a Richarlison header. It is 1-0 to 1-1 to Tottenham. I should say it was a Tottenham goal, leading it to be 1-1. And then on, it kind of felt like Tottenham were always chasing that second goal. United didn't have a huge amount of opportunities in there until they did in the 40th minute. Marcus Rashford puts it in the back of the net. It then goes to 2-1 to United. And that was the score at halftime. So even though Tottenham just controlled the whole first half, it was United being up at half, and it was like, this is one of the most Tottenham performances I've seen because we've controlled everything, yet we're still down. Come out, second half, a minute into the half, just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pass from Romero. Gets up to the midfield, gets to Werner, who crosses it into the box to Bentancur. Bentancur puts it in the back of the net. It's 2-2. Just a beautiful build-up of a goal, honestly. It was just so perfect. And then the finish by Bentancur, so good. Makes it 2-2. And once again, it felt like Tottenham were the ones chasing the next goal, not Man United. And that's basically how this game played out. It played out a lot like the first half. Tottenham dominated the second half, yet they just couldn't get that final result. Nor could United, which was positive. They had a few opportunities, especially in stoppage time. They had one where Vicario just had to acrobatically knock it out of the air. He hung on to the top of the goalpost with that jump. It was just a crazy save, but it did end up being a 2-2 draw, which, given the way Tottenham dominated this game, feels like a disappointment. But going to United, getting points at Old Trafford, I know a lot of teams have gone there this year and got a full 3, but for Tottenham to get a point at least feels like a victory, even though it's a loss technically because they didn't gain all 3 points. Taking a look at the stats, like I said, they're going to say Tottenham dominated this game. 64% possession, 16 shots, 6 shots total on net. I mean, comparing that to United, who had 36, 9 total shots, and 2 of them only being on target, and those being the 2 goals, kind of shows how this game played out. Shots in the box, Tottenham 12 compared to United's half of that at 6. Outside the box, Tottenham had 4 compared to United's 3. Expected goals, Tottenham set at 1.23 compared to United's 0.75. So, again, Tottenham had the better scoring opportunities in this game. Sometimes it just doesn't work out the best. Total passes in the game, it was almost more than, it was right around a 250 pass gap. Tottenham set at 555 compared to United's 313. 90% of them were accurate passes for Tottenham with a number of 497 compared to United only being at 76% with 237. Fouls in this game, United 8 compared to Tottenham's 5. 2 yellow cards for United compared to 1 for Tottenham. 8 corners for United, 13 for Tottenham. That's one of the bigger numbers of this season for both sides combined. Usually it's a little bit lopsided, but in this game, it was one of those games where you kept getting shots off and they dribble out for a corner. So with that being said, it is time to take a look at the player match ratings done by myself. As always, we're going to start up top with Richarlison. Earns an 8.1. He had that first goal of the game. Just a beautiful goal off a header off a corner. Just great. He's going to need to step up in this next half month to a month, however long Son is gone. Like I said, needs to step up. And at least for today, he did that. Timo Werner, the new loan signing, after only being in training for a few days, straight into the starting 11 with Dejan Kulusevski being out with illness. So hopefully he should be back by the next game. Werner earns an assist on his debut. Gets subbed off in the 80th minute. I feel like he could have played all 90, but I'm sure it was just because he hasn't played a ton this season for RB Leipzig. So I'm sure it's more of a fitness thing than it, tactical wise. Earns a 7.5. I thought it was a good debut from him. Yes, there were some Werner Chelsea moments where the ball just goes 10 yards outside the stadium. But overall, I thought he had a pretty decent performance. Brendan Johnson earns a 6.4. I'm not going to fully get mad at him like I know other Tottenham fans are being on the internet. He's still young. He's still learning. He hasn't played at this high of a level before, so I get still learning. I know that he came in the summer, and you should see some development, which I think we have. But like I said, it's going to take time with him. Even I know Postecoglou said that his development, he shouldn't have the expectations of being a world-class winger. Right now, he's still development getting to there. And I still trust Postecoglou on that one. I know kind of short on wingers today. So if Kulusevski was healthy, I'm assuming Johnson would have been the one that got dropped. It may have been Werner, just because he hasn't really been in training yet. But nevertheless, this is the starting lineup we got. And I still fully trust Brendan Johnson. He will get to that level. It's just, obviously, it's going to take a minute. When I saw this midfield, when the starting lineup was announced, I was like, they are going to cost us this game so much. And I know it. And I hate that I know it, because this midfield is going to be just purely awful to watch. Now, of course, Bentancur, very, very good midfielder. I love him in this position. But it's the other two. It's Højbjerg and Skip. I don't know. Skip earns a 6.3. It was something today. I really don't know. I know now that we got depth at the center back position, we brought in Dragoshin, and we've somewhat got help in the attacking spots with Werner. It's time to go get a midfielder, because these two can't be playing here for another month or more, because Bissouma loves to get red cards. We got to go get depth there. We really do. Skip just is not at that level. Højbjerg, it just doesn't fit in the system. He's a very good player. He just doesn't fit this system. So both of them, less than ideal scores today. Skip with the 6.3, Højbjerg with the 6.7. It's with Højbjerg, I get it. He just doesn't fit in the system, and that's completely understandable. It doesn't make me think of any less of him. Skip, I don't think he has a system. I just don't think he's good. He's not at this level, and it really does worry me that we continue to have to play him in these situations, and he just isn't great at it. It's just not great to see. But this is what we're going to have to deal with for probably at least until the beginning of February, probably. That would be my guess, which is going to suck, but hey, we got to deal with it. Bentancur got that second goal. He got a yellow card on the day. Earns an 8.3. Really good. He's basically trying to play three positions at once, because Højbjerg and Skip just don't do anything out there. But I liked Bentancur today, earns that 8.3. Destiny Udogie, what he did today, shutting down Alexander Garincio, was just absolutely amazing. For being 20 years old, he is putting on such a performance at Old Trafford, just outstanding performance, earns an 8.4. Van de Ven earns a 7.6. Wasn't his best of games, but it also wasn't the worst of his games. Coming off that hamstring injury, I know you kind of are testing the waters in that first game. You want to make sure you don't re-aggravate it and it gets worse. I know he did get a little bit of a knock at the end of the game, which is why he got subbed off in the 89th minute, I believe. Hopefully that was nothing to it. It was just, for hoping to keep him safe. And I trust that is what happened there. Romero, 7.9, coming off that hamstring injury also. Again, it's the first time these four have played together since the beginning of November. So it's going to take a minute. But I'm sure we'll be fine. Romero earned 7.9. I thought he was the better of the two center backs in this game. My man of the match, Pedro Porro, 8.8, had an assist on the game. What he did in these set pieces today was absolutely amazing. It keeps getting shown game after game, him in these set piece scenarios. He is just amazing at what he does. It's just very unbelievable to watch him play football. I'm glad that he's at this club. I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him, and I'm really, really, really excited to see where it goes. Vicario earns a 7.2. Obviously, the only two shots he faced today were 2 goals. Both of them he really couldn't do much about, but still sucks, but whatever. Bryant Heel got subbed on in the 80th minute, which is basically the threshold for me to give you a ranking. You got to play 10 minutes before stoppages. Earns a 6.2. It was barely enough time to do a ranking, so he didn't really do much out there. Dragusin makes his debut for Tottenham in the 85th minute, 86th minute, somewhere around there. Obviously, not enough time for a ranking. Emerson Royale got subbed on in the 89th. Again, no real time to do a ranking there. And Ange Postecoglou, given what he's been given, earns a 9. Obviously, I'm sure he's disappointed in this result too, given that United aren't really great right now. But given everything else going around with this team, injuries, international duty, all of it combined, coming out with a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford is a absolute moral victory, even though I'm not a huge moral victory type person. So given that, now, Tottenham just had what feels like 2 weeks off, even though it's really only been 10 days. They don't play again until the end of the month, which would be January 26th, if my schedule tells me correctly. And that will be in the FA Cup 4th round tie as they play host to Manchester City. It's a Friday night game. It's going to be something. It don't really get easy in the FA Cup. Of course, Manchester City have never scored at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm 100% sure that's going to change. But, hey, dreaming is free, and that is why we have to dream. So, given that, we will be back in 2 weeks' time, I think, for another episode of Top of the Perch. Thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this video, thank you for clicking on it. If you really enjoyed it, click like, click subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. Like I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks to recap a 4th round tie of the FA Cup between Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City. We'll see you then.